Oliver, Mr. Oliver's resource page. Mr. Oliver, Mr. Oliver, Mr. Oliver's resource page. Mr. Oliver, Mr. Oliver, Mr. Oliver's resource page. Unit 5, Lesson 5 homework. Let's go ahead and get into it. This unit is all about comparing decimals. So in order for us to do that, we got to have like proper steps to go about doing so. Let's put up some formal steps that we can actually use every time that we want to compare decimals, and it'll help us every time. All right, so the first thing that we would want to do, and for this, we'll go ahead and use an example. I think we'll compare 1 1/10 versus 1 1300ths. Okay, so in order to compare these, the first thing we will want to do is line up our decimal points. That is why our placement value charts are extremely important. So we're going to go ahead and line these up by decimal points on their decimal placement value charts. Got 1 1/10 versus 1 1300ths. The second step after we lined up our decimal points is we want to add zeros to the missing digits to make sure both numbers have the same number of place values. This is what I like to call balancing the decimals. When you're comparing them, it's easier if they're balanced as far as having both the same amount of place values. So I think this one is going to take some balancing, because when we have 1 1/10, there's only 2 place values, and 1 1300ths has 3 place values. So we can go ahead and add a 0 onto our 1 1/10, because we add that 0 on the end. It's not going to change the actual value of the number itself, but it is going to balance the two decimals. So now you have 3 on both sides, and they're both equal. Well, not equal, but equal as far as the same number of place values. All right, so now let's go on to our next step. You always want to start with the leftmost column, because that's the highest value. Start with the leftmost column and compare digits. Okay, so in this case, we would start with our ones place for both of these, because they both start in the ones place. Compare those digits starting from left to right. They both have a 1 in the ones place. Okay, so that's where we would start our comparison. Now, step 4, if the digits are the same, move to the next column to the right. Aha, so in ours, it looks like we do have the same amount of, well, the same digits. 1 in our ones place and 1 in our ones place. So according to step 4, we need to move to the next column to the right. All right, now we need to continue comparing digits until you find digits that are different. So let's go with us. We got our ones column. They're both 1s. Let's go to the right, because those are both the same. Now in our tenths column, we both have 1s. So what do? We need to continue. Keep going, because those are the same. Now in our hundredths place, we have a 0 and a 3. So now we can compare those digits, and based upon those digits, we'll be able to know which one is bigger and which one is smaller. Okay, so now our last step would be to use either our less than, greater than, or equal than symbol to compare the decimals. So in this point, we got to those two that are different, our 0 and our 3. We know that our 3 is larger, so we would be able to say that 1 1300ths is larger than 1 1/10.